Hi, and welcome to another episode of Real Raw Talk, where we keep it real and raw. I am your host, Vanetta Farai, and this is my co-host, Michael.
Hello, my name is Zen Michael Dyer, and my two favorite geniuses are here today.
Hi guys, I'm Kristen.
And hey, my name is Anthony G, aka Genius. See that Michael telling. I think he could be right. We'll see.
Okay, so today's topic is, why do men and women cheat if they're in a committed relationship? So I'd like to start with anybody who wants to just jump in and start talking.
You know what? I honestly, I feel like there's no like one size fits all. You know, there's definitely, it's really dependent on the person and their circumstances. But, you know, I am going to take it a little, you know, back psychology type and just say that it really has to do, I believe, with, you know, how someone was brought up and what their circumstances were. And if you're getting into a relationship prematurely without having dealt with a lot of like your own baggage. And so I think that's why a lot of times the best relationship you can be in is with yourself for a certain amount of time. And then you're getting into relationships prematurely, then there's a lot that you're bringing in there you don't even know. And I feel like that kind of can lead to, you know, then that stuff ends up showing up to your partner and they might not have seen that coming. And so it could be it could show up as like disconnect, you know, emotionally, whatever. But I just feel like you end up having a lot of these things show up in a relationship that you didn't expect, that the other person didn't expect, and you don't know how to deal with it. So maybe, you know, you're confused, they're confused, and that can kind of lead you off.
Does any of you guys think that maybe boredom comes into play, where you're just like tired of seeing the same person day after day, month after month, week after week, year after year? Does that come into the, you know, the variety issue?
I think the person who cheats is an issue with. I think there's an issue with the person who cheats, not the relationship. Because you can just end the relationship. If the relationship is bored, you can just end it.
Right.
But there's a reason why you don't want to end it, and you rather go outside. And I know it gets complicated because you may be bored or things have changed, but you're invested. You may have children together. You may be married and it's cheaper to keep her. All kinds of stuff, man. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What's your take on that, Zen Michael?
You know, I really listened to what you were saying about that issues that a person might be dealing with can cause them to seek outside the relationship for whatever that might be, validation or whatever. So, because I've cheated before, and it was basically because, it was because I was looking for something else. You know, I was looking, but then whatever I was looking for, it still wasn't fulfilling. So, you know, I was looking for something, and I don't know. I don't like the word cheating.
Yeah. I know it's not a.
Well, what would you call it?
No, because I think that it's a word that somebody made up. Whoever got cheated on, and so they say cheated sound like cheap. You know what I mean?
Well, what's a better word for that? What would you call it?
He calls it making new friends.
Oh, okay. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a real good one. We just happen to sleep with that new friend, right?
Yeah, I think it's just different levels to it. You know, this is all new to me, so I don't know what's going to come out. But it's all new to me. The fact is, maybe that you have an attraction towards someone. And chemistry, as we talked about before, and you have chemistry towards somebody else. Now, the body it's not logical. It doesn't say, oh, you know what, you can only have chemistry with that one person.
Right, that's true.
You know, you might have chemistry with several people, and all of a sudden, so you move on that based on the chemistry, so it's not logical. I think we deal with cheating, we deal with logic.
Yeah.
You know, and also insecurity. Somebody comes looking for validation.
That's it, yeah.
You know, and so I think I like what you said. Cheating could be like a form of what would you call it? Not being very healthy. Insecurity, but also cheating could be something that you want to express your feelings more than with one person.
He wants to express himself.
But you know,
I'm just. This is all new, so please call me out.
Well, you know, I'm interested. What you said was very interesting when you said that you were looking for something. It was something else you were looking for. Can you hone in on what exactly you were looking for?
Well, okay.
That you felt like you didn't have?
Well, I was dating this girl, and we were dating, you know, for like 5 years, and hadn't really been with anybody else. You know, and I was doing some modeling, and I was in Atlanta, and I saw this girl that I had some chemistry with, and it was like, wow. And I was curious because I had only been with this one chick, and it's like, wow, you know what? And I want to explore, you know, something else. You know.
Yeah, variety.
Curiosity.
I get it.
Killed the cat.
Curiosity, like the curiosity brought the cat alive.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the cat came alive. Like,
Yeah.
wow.
No, they said the satisfaction made him come back alive.
So,
Was it?
oh,
Yeah.
I want to touch on what he said. I do think it's important for men to go through that player stage.
oh, you got
You
it.
know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
the player stage.
No, before
Play
you start.
her stage. Okay.
Before
Ooh,
you,
play.
That's a good one, Kristen.
Well, that's,
But I'm just saying that's what it comes down to. But go ahead.
I mean, okay. Player stage, that's just a figure of speech, right? But I think you should go through a stage where you explore sexually, explore yourself sexually. And I think women go through that
Right.
through a similar stage too. But men, we go through it at a later stage because women are in their prime sooner than men are. Yeah, I think it's important you do that so when you meet somebody that you connect well with, that you want to be with, you've gained that discipline, you've already explored, you already know what's up, you know yourself.
What were you
do
going to say,
but
Kristen?
It's a lot now that just came up. I had a lot
Okay.
going on. But just to touch on a little bit of what he said and then what was said here, I think that, you know, in regards to the whole, the player stage, and you said it helps you, you know, eventually until you know yourself. I feel like you don't know yourself though in that process. And yeah, maybe you're starting to get to know, okay, I don't like this type of girl, I don't like this, but it's still about the woman. And you end up you can still bring that, you can still say, okay, like sexually I tried all these things, so okay, whatever, I'm over that, and now you can maybe hone in on one person, but then it's like, what do you feel like you gain from that stage, that whole player?
Yeah, players. Well, you've explored yourself sexually, so you're not curious.
But
you know, he said
is
he was
that it?
curious.
Okay.
He said he was curious, and you know
So that was the note that I was gonna say about what he said. So when I taking it back to the whole thing of cheating and then like things coming up, not dealing with things on your own, he had something that he had to look for, and I don't know how that worked out when you end up, you know, exploring that. How did that turn out when you end up?
How'd that turn out for you, Michael?
Let me ask that first.
Because
Yeah,
we had about being honest and stuff, so it was some guilt behind it.
That was going to be my next question, actually.
Behind in your relationship.
Behind it, the fact is that I was with someone else.
That he cheated.
You know,
The guilt
so
came up.
because of that guilt thing, you know, growing up in the church and the guilt thing kicked in, and so
you're going to hell.
you know, you're going to hell. You know, you did her wrong. You know, that's it. I don't know. This is not my favorite subject.
Did you have, but you know, but I got to ask you another question. In keeping it real and raw, do you admit that to your mate? Because that was going to be my next question. Do you feel guilty? Is it some guilt involved? And then do you tell them? Do you disclose it? Or do you let it come up in conversation where she might ask? And then, of course, are you honest? That's the question.
Ooh, that's,
Yeah.
Wow.
you can answer that.
It's not his favorite subject.
Don't put all the heat on him, you guys.
It's not his
Let
favorite
Anthony
subject.
answer. Let
I
Anthony
can take the heat.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Michael.
Give me the heat.
Yeah. All
Bring
right.
the heat. Bring on
So
the
what do
heat.
you think? What do you think?
You know, I don't think that it's physical. You know, and what is cheating? Matter of fact, is it only physical, or is it mental as well? Is it wrong for me? I've done this before, where I was with this girl, and you know, and when I dated for like 5 years, and I started imagining that she was other people, like you know, like celebrities, right?
And that's a form of cheating,
You know,
isn't
and
it?
so I was
Yeah,
thinking,
that's a
and
good
I was
one,
thinking like,
yeah.
God, you know what? Because you know, it was like my mind wanted variety.
Right.
But I think that cheating and loving someone is not the same thing. When somebody has sex with somebody, that's different. Like for example, I can love someone, but I can be attracted to someone physically. You know, and yet it seems like it's two different worlds. Very rarely I'm in love with two people at the same time, but I can be attracted to, let's say, you, and you and I are dating. You know, we have a relationship. You know, So moving on that, I think the problem is that when the woman does it and the man can't take it. So you ask yourself, I'm giving this, but can I take it? And most time we can't. I couldn't take it.
Well, they say that, and I've heard this, I'm not a man, but they say that the men are mostly physical, so it's okay, it's expected of him. Do you agree with that?
That men should be expected
That men,
to cheat?
because they're physical, because it's like it's just sex, whereas women get more emotionally attached, and it's like I love you, you're my man,
And I think that's the aspect of women cheating that drives the men. That drives the men crazy, because it's like when she cheats, there's some type of emotional involvement. Then you feel like you're inadequate. But when men cheat, most time it's just physical. But I disagree that men should be expected to cheat. There's some sexually disciplined men out here, and we can't be faithful.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Do you guys think that somebody touched on abandonment? I don't know who it was, but do you think that like it could be a childhood issue with coming from a parent standpoint that will cause either the male or the female to cheat because they had some kind of abandonment issues growing up? What do you think? What do you think, Kristen?
I definitely think so in regards to abandonment. I think a lot in your childhood, that's what I said earlier, a lot in your childhood can determine the way that you go about relationships. So whether it's abandonment and you feel the need to jump, like if you feel a sense, so on that topic of abandonment, you might feel a sense of like, okay, like, like my girl seems like a little distant, so I'm gonna go out and give me another one just in case she leaves me, because I need to make sure that I'm not left hanging. So that's like they're like preparing themselves to like for
mentally,
what might happen, and they might be completely off. And that's the problem, like where it's like we don't understand like what we have dealing with internally, and so we have these preconceived notions that we have not put out and vocalized and communicated with our partner about. We kept it here and we assumed, and then we jump to the next. So when I going back to the whole emotional thing, men are not and women aren't. I think we're all emotional about it. It just reads differently. So men might be physical and they feel like, it had nothing to do with emotions, but it had a lot to do with their emotions internally, because they had a lot that they weren't processing, and that was showing up in their multiple sexual partners.
So it's like an insecurity kind of a thing.
Right, and they had to go in, that's totally emotional, but it just kind of looks like it's just physical.
So do you feel like men could, or women, or both, do you think men and women could differentiate in their minds between emotional attachment and sex?
What do you mean?
Like, do you think when a woman engages is emotional for her, and when men engage is physical for them? Do you think they can? Do you think it's both for both sexes, or do you think they can turn it off, or what do you think?
I think emotions are really powerful, and I don't think that you can turn them off. I think that you can try to fake the funk and think in your mind like, I'm just, I'm just, this is no emotional attachment. I'm just like, I don't even see the woman. I'm just doing my thing. But I'm just saying, like, I think internally it's doing a lot of emotional damage, or it's coming from a very emotional place that they are not willing to be vulnerable about. So it reads in multiple sexual partners. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Or is that what you're?
But one thing we do know is that there's hormones released in women when they have sex that makes them attached to the partner.
Okay, like the soul.
Those aren't. No,
You don't think they
that's
exist with
hormonal.
men?
It's physical.
Okay.
Men don't have that sex.
They don't have it. Even though we both have some of the estrogen and testosterone.
Yeah, I'm not sure what. I'm not the expert in that.
I'm not in that. That's why I didn't touch on that.
I've heard several experts say that. But it definitely
But
seems
is that
that
kind of
way.
weird though? The fact is that they would be attached and the men wouldn't, because they probably having sex with a man, right? So you think nature set it up that way?
Yeah, I think.
I mean, you brought it up. I'm just curious.
Oh, yeah, okay, it's cool. I can support whatever I say.
Okay, good.
I mean, if I can't do it at the moment, I can come back and do it. But I think that's a nature way of keeping families together, like keeping.
But obviously not, because it's not for the man. He doesn't have a connection.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's different societies. Like there's polygamous societies.
Yeah,
and even when a lot of cases when a woman is cheating with the married man, she herself will be exclusive to that man. You know.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I see that a lot.
So I got a question at this table. How many of you have cheated? Is this real or raw or what?
I mean, it depends. I guess it depends on how you define it too, because I don't know, like how deep are we going, like thoughts and like stuff like that. Because how you brought that up, I think
What
that's
is
real,
cheating?
and I do
That
feel like
is real.
I
That
do
is.
feel
So
like
with thought,
mental.
you would say yes?
I feel,
Oh,
yeah. I mean, like,
Wow.
you have thoughts about other. Is that like
Absolutely.
the extent, like where it's like, okay, you thought about someone while you're dating someone else, you thought about someone in a maybe inappropriate way, or like you thought about like, like I wonder how it would be to be with this person instead,
Oh.
or like, you know, things like that. You know, I
Thank
could
you for your real and raw.
I-
Real and raw. That one
but
for the next two.
I don't
Before you
exclude
done.
it from anyone.
If a man hath meditated in his heart, he hath already committed adultery.
See, that's what I say. Going back to school.
No, I think cheating is whatever you and your partner agree with. You know?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
true.
really?
That's
Things
true.
agree.
Yeah, I think it's an agreement. Like if she don't want you on Facebook liking
You
other
cheated,
girls'
right?
pictures, if she don't want you on
That's
Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
you cheated in that relationship. Whatever you guys agree to is what cheating is. If she's cool with that,
So have you ever
that's
cheated?
cool. No, I've never cheated.
See there? See there? Now, so, you know what?
I'm not a cheater.
I have a brand new question. I
No,
want
no,
to know.
you can't get out of this. You
No,
ain't
no, no,
getting
no,
out of
no, no,
this.
no.
You're not getting out of
No,
this.
because you know,
No.
it's like yes,
You're not
I
getting
agree.
out of this.
I agree with Kristen. I agree with.
So
Kristen.
have you or have
if
you not?
If
Have you or have you
going
not?
by what she's saying, then yes, of
So
course.
no physical. You never,
No
cheated
physical.
physically.
No, we were like broken up, so I didn't consider it cheating.
Y'all were
If
like
we-
broken
If
up.
we were broken
You
up, I don't
understand?
consider.
We were like
if
broken
we were
up.
like broken up having problems, I don't consider it
She
cheating. okay?
felt emotionally
Yeah,
abandoned.
I
were
felt
like, you know.
exactly. You
We
know.
were like, broken up. He was out of town.
You know,
No, we were like
We were
a
separated.
temporary. Yeah, that's it. So it doesn't feel like cheating. Okay.
It doesn't feel like
It doesn't. If you're separated, does it feel? I mean, if you're in a committed relationship, then you're in a committed relationship, and so then you will maybe the guilt will come in if you cheat on your partner. But I had a guy. He was married. Him and his wife were together, and he straight out told me that he had some kind of dream about me. I don't know if it was like one of those little quickie dreams when he was in the act with his wife.
wow.
And his wife was like, "Whoa, what got into you?"
oh shoot.
And what,
I
and how
guess
does
I
that
was
make you
flattering.
feel?
I guess it was flattering,
you was flattering.
even though I didn't really like him like that, But it was, of course, it was nice to hear,
It was nice to hear.
I
It
guess
was
it was
nice?
flattering,
was
I
nice
mean,
to
if somebody
hear.
just comes out and tell you.
So
something
you
like
enjoy
that,
being
right?
the object of another.
No.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, see, that was
I
going to
think
be
so.
my whole thing about the in childhood where we were speaking of. So me, I was like what you consider like a daddy's little girl. Okay, so I got a lot of attention. I got everything I wanted. So the first man in my life gave me anything I wanted. I could
Yeah.
just snap my fingers, you know.
Yeah.
And so that carried on into relationships. Naturally, I wanted that same kind of attention from my mate. And so when I felt like I wasn't getting that attention, like what you had
Wow.
mentioned, the guy could be like a brain surgeon.
Yeah.
And they're on the clock, 12, 14 hours of the day. And then when they come home, they're exhausted. So you can't always get that attention. And that can cause one to stray because of the way they were brought up, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
and then so that guy that comes along that reminds you again of how your dad treated you, and then you get your attention is is on them now. So it's like, and then you're just like,
Why
in
not
that
just go to
moment.
that person then?
That's the next question. It's like why. The next question is why not say, okay, you know what, I realize that I just, this is not working for me. I need someone that's going to be A, B, and C.
Yeah.
But then it's like also, and on that note, like, why did you end up dating the other person? Like, what attracted you about the person that you were with to get you, to be with them, even though you knew that you do like a guy that's going to do this and this? You know what I mean? What initially attracted you? Because it was obviously something.
Well, probably in the beginning, they were giving you all that attention.
Okay.
And then something happened, and the attention got less and less,
Yes.
and
So-
then you started
yeah.
feeling insecure, right?
Right.
So, and it can happen both
Why
ways,
not just
right?
walk
With
away
men
from that
too.
relationship?
But that was, wait, what'd you say?
Why not walk away from
Well,
the relationship?
But wait,
Like,
what about what happened to communication?
See, that's the key. So do you notice, as being a woman,
Uh-huh.
that we always want to communicate?
Uh-huh.
It's you men who never want to talk. It's like it
Ooh.
goes in one ear and out the other, and it's like, yeah,
Uh-oh.
okay, whatever,
Uh-oh.
whatever,
She
baby.
just-
But they don't want to
Fighting
get
words,
in deep. They
She
don't want to
said
get in.
you men.
They don't want to get into those deep conversations like that. We do all the time. We're like, babe, let's talk it out. We need to talk. Don't you want to run when she says we need to talk? It's like, oh my
We
God.
can't
No,
assume.
I saw an example where a guy was talking to the girl, and the girl was constantly talking. So
Yeah.
sometimes women don't listen.
Yeah.
I saw a situation just recently where the
shaking
guy
hand
was
on
trying to
that one,
talk,
brother.
Yeah.
and the
don't
girl was
listen.
talking to her like, wait a minute, shouldn't we like go back and forth on this? You know,
Shouldn't there be some
It's a
some people
monologue.
want to be right rather than be happy.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so if that was we call communication, then we need some help.
Okay, so final question I want to ask each of you.
Uh-huh.
Do you think monogamy is natural? Is monogamy natural?
Natural.
Okay, I'll go first.
Okay.
Dang. I might get some flack here, but I think monogamy is more natural for women. I don't think it's more natural for men, but we have the capacity to be monogamous.
Okay,
That's how I feel.
that's real and raw. What do you
Yeah.
think, Kristen?
I mean, I think that makes sense. I haven't really processed that, the naturalness of it. I feel like it's natural for me. Like that's definitely, and I guess that proves his point. But like I feel like it's a natural thing for me. Like I've never thought about like dating more than one person at a time or whatever. It's too much, like, you know. So
She's a
I
good
just feel
girl.
like it's a natural for me.
Too much juggling.
But what about you? I want to hear from you.
Do I think monogamy is natural? Wow, that's a good one. Let me ask myself that. Not really. Not totally. Not totally. Because like you said, even if you don't go through with the act, you're still going to think about other people. You know, it's like I might be married, but I'm not blind. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my gosh, this guy's looking. And then I've had it where, like, let's say people will come up and they're a couple. And I'm thinking, okay, woman, why don't you just go somewhere? Because your man is looking really good. You know, he's looking really good. And so
Thank you for being honest. That's
I
all.
think that it's not entirely, but that doesn't mean that you can't be just committed to that one person. It's just the spontaneity. If you can, you know, continue to grow together and have fun together, that's what keeps it alive. You know, so it's not letting the ball drop. It takes work. It's a give and take. It's an ebb and flow.
Yeah.
So that. What about you, Michael? Is it natural?
I think that depending on the person, I think it's a learned behavior.
Monogamy
Yes,
is?
it's a learned behavior. I think that if you grew up in a society and you saw dad with multiple wives or whatever, then you wouldn't. But if you grew up in a society where that, you know, but on a feeling level, if being monogamous meaning that you only have feeling for one person, and you only attracted to one person, then no.
Okay, very good. Thank you for keeping it real, guys. Thank you so much. That's going to conclude our segment today, and thank you so much for watching. And hey, if no one has told you they love you today, we love you.